Y'all don't know me. I'm nobody. My name's Marann. Um, and I'm not popular. I'm not well known. I'm not a content creator. I'm just a regular old person. Just a normal everyday person, just like you. But I have a story, and I have a story to tell, and it's a story that should be shared. And I write, but I can't seem to be able to write my story. I can't. I want to write a book, but I can't seem to write it. So I think what I'm gonna do is try to record my journey or my life with y'all, who I am and where I've been and what I come from, and just a little about me. Just share my story, and if somebody wants to help me put it in a book, great. Or somebody wants to take it, make a book or a TV show out of it, great. I mean, you can, but let's just get into it. So, I'm Marann. 47 years old. I'll be 48 in December. I come from a mother and a father and an older brother, and another older brother who was deceased when I was born. He was deceased before me and my brother were conceived. He died of crib death. Let me see. My mom was young. My dad was young. They were both pretty people. My dad was a good-looking man, and my mom was a good-looking man. They didn't have the best relationship, I don't think. I think my dad was really controlling over her, and there was a lot of abuse there between the two of them. So I don't know, I'm just telling you all this to kind of help you understand why I am the way I am, or to kind of help you understand further down the road when I get into my story. Why I guess I think the way I think or do some of the things I do. But anyway, I remember my early childhood, it being very abusive. My dad being very abusive to my mom, him drinking a lot, and you know, they loved each other, but or whatever. But it took its toll on my mom after some time, and so anyway. But growing up, um, I wasn't I wasn't made. My parents did. My parents would love my brother. My brother was a big deal. He was the star of the show. That he was the center of the attention. And when I was brought home from the hospital, first thing my brother did when they brought me in was slap me across my face and tell them to take me back where they got me from. That he didn't want me. And to this day, me and my brother don't have a good relationship. You'll find out through my story where he's tried to hurt me several times in several ways. Um, he still is just jealous of me as he was the day they brought me home. Um, but anyway, everybody in the family kind of had their pick, of the kids, of who their favorite kid was. And well, I wasn't really anybody's pick. I was my Uncle Bo's pick because I was around him a lot, but I wasn't really anybody's pick of the family. And so I was quiet and I was shy and I stayed to myself, and so I was easily forgotten and left a lot. I was very easily forgotten. Um, I don't know, I just was. I was just quiet. But I grew up well, my dad, when we would go around his family or around certain people, you know, um, he was real strict on us. Like one of my cousins on my dad's side of the family, she was not allowed to cry for anything. And one day, she well, I got used to when we would go over there. I'd play with the broken toys, the not so fun toys, the toys that nobody would want, thinking they wouldn't get taken away from me and I wouldn't have to give them over, because she cried and she wanted what I was playing with, I had to give it over. You know, I had to give, if any kid cried for anything I was playing with, I had to give it over to them. I mean, that was that, you know. And so my parents just bought me some new shoes. And I love these new shoes. I wanted these new shoes. And they take me to, we go over to where this cousin's at. And she's younger than me, but she's taller than me, and her feet are bigger than mine. And she started crying for my new shoes. And my mama said, "Oh, Mike, please don't." You know, because my mom knew what those shoes meant to me. And I told my dad, "Please don't let me take off my shoes. Please don't let me give her my shoes." And my dad's mom said, "Oh, it's just let her play with them shoes. You know they ain't going to fit her. Let her play with them." Well, my dad made me take those shoes off and give them to her. And I tell you that because that is where I learned that I didn't matter anymore. You know, after I got those shoes, I got those shoes back when we left, I didn't wear those shoes anymore. I didn't want those shoes. My mom went and bought me some different shoes. She knew I didn't want those shoes anymore because they were taken from me and she got to wear them. I didn't want them anymore. They meant nothing to me now. You know, they meant nothing just like I meant nothing. You know, my feelings didn't matter. Her feelings mattered more than mine. And that's where I learned that. And that explains so much of what you'll hear from my story. Why I went through some of the things I went through and why I put up with some of the things I went through is because I was taught I was nothing. My dad always made a big deal about everybody else's kids, and everybody else's kids were more important. If we went to anybody's house and they had kids, whether we played with their toys or went in their rooms or not, we had to clean their bedrooms before we left. Whether they helped us pick up or not, we had to clean up their rooms. Kids did not have to clean up our rooms when they come to our house, but that's just the way we were raised. And you know, I was taught, you know, kids should be seen and not heard. I was told, don't cry. We don't talk about this. As a child, you know, we were sitting on the floor in a circle with my dad with a gun to our head, going to shoot us all and shoot himself. And my brother was just about to have him upset enough. He was about to pull the trigger, and once he pulled the trigger, he wasn't going to stop. And my Uncle Bo busted in by that time and kicked the gun out of his hand and saved our lives, basically. We left that night, and the next day we went back home like nothing happened, never talked about again, you know. So you didn't cry and you didn't express your feelings. And my dad drank a lot, and so, you know, my mom hid our report cards a lot because we didn't make good grades and we would get in trouble. And we stayed outside till the street lights come on, and then we went in and we went to our rooms or whatever. We tried to avoid whatever conflict was going on between our parents because we were bringing in the middle of it a lot. And my mom, we caught my mom one year at the fair with another man. And my brother told my dad, told my Uncle Bo, and my Uncle Bo went my dad to my brother, and that led to my parents divorcing, and it led to my mom taking off for 2 weeks on 18-wheeler with some dude and somebody else, and leaving me home in an apartment for 2 weeks sick, and nobody knew where I was at. The school called my grandma, and my grandma would come looking for me and found me at home, you know, where we were living. And then my dad was calling my grandma asking about me, and he come took me from my grandma. And so I don't know, I lived with him for a little while, and it was just a lot of abuse, him drinking, wanting me to throw darts at this one professional picture that me and my mom had a professional picture made, and my dad and my brother had one made, and my dad always wanted me to throw darts at the one of me and my mom, and I wouldn't. And I just couldn't get away from it, you know. And so I asked to see my mom once, and my dad beat me black and blue, but then he let me see my mom, and I didn't want to go back home to my dad's after being with my mom. And so everything that I got him for Christmas and for my birthday that year was taken away from me down to the winter coat. anything that his family had gotten me, they took away from me, and I was given some of the things that I'd already had. And you know, my mom's sister went and bought me the same winter coat that I had wore, so the kids at school wouldn't know why didn't have my coat. You know, um, isn't that crazy? So you know, I lived with my mom, and my mom was on drugs pretty bad, and I went to school one day, and she decided to go pull attempted aggravated armed robbery, which landed her a prison sentence, which landed me having to go live with my grandma, which my dad tried to get me, but my grandma come with the police and got me, and she had gotten temporary custody of me or whatever, and you know, that went on for a little bit. So I lived with my grandma until my mom got out of prison. My mom went to prison, I guess, 3 times over my life before she passed. Both of my parents are deceased now, and I love them both to death. I'm not angry at either one of them, and I don't blame either one of them for anything. They were young parents doing the best they could with what they had. You know, they had they didn't. You know, my dad come from a family of 10 kids, and where his dad was an alcoholic and ran off, and his mom raised 10 kids. My mom come from a family of 2 girls, and the sons. My grandma's sons didn't live, but my mom had all my grandma's daughters had different dads, except for 2 of the daughters. They shared the same dad, so my mom had a half brother, you know. But my grandma didn't raise any of her kids, so you know. And I think my mom had maybe had been abused by some of her cousins, maybe sexually abused by some of her cousins, maybe from my grandma's brother. I don't know. There's possibilities, you know, and there's possibilities my mom had some mental illness, and my dad was probably narcissistic, you know. And I'm borderline personality, so I figure my mom was probably maybe borderline, and she was probably codependent. You know, I see that. And so when she left my dad, she just kind of went wild. And so life with my mom became really exciting. It was really, I never knew what to expect. But at 16, going to school, my mom was on crack, and I came home from school, and I didn't have anything left in my bedroom. I didn't have a bed. I didn't have a little square black and white TV. I didn't have a stitch of clothing. There was nothing left in my room. She had sold everything I had for crack. So I had to walk to my grandma's and tell my grandma I need a place to stay. I don't have any clothes. I don't have a bed. I don't have a place to sleep. Mom had done sold everything for crack, and I had nowhere to go. And so I moved in with my grandma, and I got my first job bussing tables at a place called Grecian Steakhouse. And I worked there, and I eventually got another job. So I had 2 jobs. I waitressed at Steak and Shake when they first come to Jonesboro, Arkansas years ago. Anyway, they went out of business and they're back now. But anyway, I did that, and I got my first apartment. I met the guy that ended up being the father of my first 2 kids when I was 16, and he moved in at my apartment with me, and he was always borrowing his mom's car, so you know, he would take me back and forth to work and to school and stuff. And eventually down the road, my brother moved into this 1-bedroom apartment with. And anyway, I don't know, a lot led to a lot. And I fought against trying meth, but I fought against it. And when they say, if you can't beat them, join them, well, I did. I joined them. And so I ended up dropping out of school halfway through the 11th grade. I did get my GED in 2006. I did graduate with my GED in 2006. So I do have that, and I do have some college in me. I've got enough that I can apply to a program. But anyway, what was I saying? I dropped out of school, and I gave up the 2 jobs and started dealing drugs, and ended up losing the apartment, moving in with what ended up being my first husband's parents and staying there. And ended up getting off the drugs after a while, giving up the drugs, and I got pregnant with my daughter. First, I had a miscarriage, and then I got pregnant with my daughter, my oldest daughter, who's now 28, and so I quit everything. I smoked weed. I didn't quit smoking weed. I couldn't have handled the sickness. I was on bed rest with her when I first got pregnant with her because I almost miscarried her. So, you know, that first husband really put me through a lot of abuse, mental abuse too, and there was physical abuse. The first year we dated, I think we beat the hell out of each other. But I was 16, he was 18. We didn't know what we were doing, you know. We had my son. He's 27. My kids are 18 months apart. My son and daughter, my first two kids, are 18 months apart. I have a third child. She's 15. She comes from my second marriage. But anyway, that marriage just played out, and he was cheating, and he was. We got back on the drugs, and I got off the drugs, and he wouldn't get off of them, and I told him if he didn't get off of them on the 1st of July, that when he come home, his things would be sitting on the front porch. No need to come in, no need to knock on the door. His things would be on the front porch. There'd be nothing left to say. It was over because I wasn't going to live that life. And so, come the last day of the month, I said come home, and his things were on the front porch. And I thought he would go home to his mother, sleep it off, whatever, come back and fight for his family. But he didn't. He went on one, and years went by, you know, and we never got back together, you know, and we never even tried, you know. So he ended up getting a felony charge, and I ended up getting back on drugs. After a while, I ended up getting on them, and I got in a felony charge, and anyway, I got off of them again, and I got to hanging around with my mom a lot, and I started smoking crack with my mom, and I was roommating, kind of roommating, seeing this other guy, and he was smoking crack, and so I got into smoking crack for a little bit, and that was just a whole mess. That was a whole nother world. It's a world I don't wish to ever go down. But I got another charge, and so that landed me in drug court, which landed me 10 years clean. I become an ADC counselor, a licensed substance abuse counselor. I started out as a house person. The man that ended up being my second husband, I met him as my crack dealer. I went to rehab and got clean, and I started dating a preacher, and I ran into him, and I didn't realize he was still using, but I took him out of the streets and out of a dope house, and thought he was clean, and started taking him to meetings, and got him a good job, and thought we had the perfect marriage. I mean, really thought we had the perfect marriage. And after I had a couple of years clean, we had my third child, my daughter, who's now 15. And you would have just, I mean, from the inside and out, you would have thought there was nothing wrong with our marriage. We just had this energy about us that drawed strangers in. It was just perfect, you know. But anyway, I'll leave it there, and I'll share more of my story again. Maybe another video tomorrow. I'll go in more detail. And I can go in more detail about stuff in my childhood too, but we'll just leave it there for right now. But there's just a little piece of who I am. There's a little piece of Marann's journey. And stay tuned for more. I've got some odd stories to tell, and I hope to gain an audience and some viewers to listen to my story, because it's really an inspirational story, how it all turns out, and how that perfect marriage ends, and the next relationship after that and how it ends and where I ended up and where I'm at today and where I'm going is a crazy story, and it's one to share, and it's one I hope that inspires and uplifts you and lets you know that you can go through hell and come through the other side. And right now I'm still walking through the pain of things, but I'm almost to the other side. I ain't got much further to go, you know. It's getting better all the time. And that's a country song, and I love it. It's getting better all the time, and it is. So please stay tuned for more, because I really hope y'all stick around and listen to my story. Thanks, y'all. Bye.